Well taken, well clever. Conor Trainor, that was beautiful. Oh, what a try. I tell you what, that's one of the brilliant handling, isn't it? With his foot into his hand. Perfect. He has done well, Carpenter.
Fairhurst, Monroe, Smith, Trainor powers his way over the line.
Oh, a lob pass, not a very good one either, and all Canadians onto this, and they've got an opportunity. Can Trainor get a second one? He's leading the charge, and did he get it down?
And welcome back to the Canadian Ruck. It's Jamie Gray coming at you again. Got an exciting pod this time, as always. And if you're paying attention to that little intro, we have Conor Trainor on. Conor and I chatted. He's out in BC right now. It was a great conversation. Great lad, so that'll be fun. So stay tuned for Conor. And just as always, contact us: Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, email. On Twitter, we're at Canadian Ruck. Instagram, _Canadian_Ruck. Facebook at the Canadian Ruck, and email thecanadianruck@gmail.com. Love leaving messages, so feel free to reach out at any time. You can always watch and listen, but when you're watching and listening, make sure you're follow and subscribe. We're on YouTube, where you get the video aspect of the video call, but we're also audio only on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Google Podcasts, and Castbox. So it's a slow week, even though in rugby news, even though there's New Zealand Super Rugby starting up. We'd like to wish our Chiefs buddies Tyler Ardron and Sam Kane and Lachlan Bozier. They're in training right now. Their first game's 2 to 3 weeks out. They're pretty excited, pretty stoked, I imagine, as is we. In order for us to watch it, they get to play, we get to enjoy their play. Saying that, Ardron and Damon McKenzie and Anton Leonard-Brown were supposed to appear on the Canadian Ruck, but that might be put on hold due to training and Super Rugby, New Zealand Super Rugby starting back up. So we're gonna see if we can get some free time with them, but that's not guaranteed it will happen. And totally understandable if it doesn't, because times are getting better in New Zealand and they're actually getting to play rugby. So if that's the case, we might not have them on, but it's probably for the best, because they actually get to go out and do what they get paid to do. Another thing in the news right now, World Rugby just over the last week or so changed one of the rulings where you can't score at the base of the post anymore. I've read a little bit on it, not a whole lot of information given. Seems to me more than anything that's probably a safety thing. If it is a safety thing, there's some banter on the internet now, then why not move the post to the back of the try zone, much like it is in American football? Would that change the complex of the game? Would it make it safer? Would it make it safe enough to actually constitute such a change in appearance? I'm not really sure if that will happen, if that's a little ways out, but it's still something that might be interesting, I guess, to look for. So no tries being able to be scored at the base of the ruck. I am going to have, eventually I'm going to have Ian Wilson on, one of the top refs in New Brunswick, to kind of go over laws. He was supposed to be on earlier to promote new safety laws in high school rugby, but because there's no high school rugby, we've pushed, Ian and I, we've pushed that one back a little bit. But we will get Ian on, and we'll get a referee's take on different law changes and the safety issues surrounding laws. So that brings us to a new topic area. We're gonna start something here called the gray area. All right. So the gray area is just my thoughts and musings on things in rugby that maybe they're controversial, maybe they're not. Maybe I see a controversy in it and want to bring it forward, or maybe it's just something that, hey, this is an interesting idea. Let's see what we can talk about. Let's see what we can think about. So first gray area, going to start small. We're going to talk about New Brunswick rugby, in particular club rugby, and the time of season that it's played. If you're in New Brunswick, if you're in Canada, most rugby's played in the fall. Except for high school rugby, rookie rugby, that's all in the spring. So my thought is the NBIAA, which is the sport governing body of high school rugby or high school sports in New Brunswick, won't change when high school rugby is. So why doesn't Rugby New Brunswick, the NBRU, put club rugby in the spring? Get a few ideas around this. Big one is it aligns with high school rugby. right? With that, you could actually promote club rugby as opposed to competing in this fall with hockey and football and soccer. You get less high school students out watching games, but if you actually have games at the same time, so a Saturday afternoon in May, you've got KVHS squaring off against St. John High in St. John. Maybe you could have it at Hayes and White. It's like maybe a 12 o'clock kickoff, and then at 2:30 or 2 o'clock, you have the Trojans hosting the Blau Rovers, and you have that atmosphere already happening where it's Saturday's a rugby day. Now you have two games. You've got a high school game, you've got a club game, and maybe you've got a little some type of atmosphere afterwards where the high school students could be incorporated into the club atmosphere before most of the festivities kick off. It could be a really interesting concept, I guess, to get more high school students staying invested in the game. This also helps by moving away from the university season. I know a lot of clubs struggle to get players out in the fall because kids are taking off to university. And even when they're at university, maybe you're in Fredericton or maybe you're in Moncton, but maybe they're playing a university sport, and it's pretty taxing to play university sport and then play club rugby at the same time. Some people can do it for sure, but it is pretty taxing on the body. And then, the player sometimes has to decide which area does he think he's best suited for. Maybe his university side, maybe his university side struggles to keep him engaged or keep him out, so he leaves there. I'm not sure, but I think it would be kind of neat to move away from that. Saying that, if you play in the spring, university players are back. Exams are done early, mid-April. Maybe you start training in April and you start playing late April, early May. You could be done your season by the end of June. Right? Then you have July and August off. Definitely would be able to foster club atmosphere, because you could have, as I said, a high school game followed by a senior game. You could take it a step further. You could make it a full day. You could have a rookie rugby jamboree in the morning. You could have a high school rugby game around lunch, and then shortly after that, you have your club game. And then you've got that Saturday's rugby day. You sell some T-shirts, promote, the local clubs that are hosting games, whether it's, Blyle's hosting or Fredericton's hosting or Moncton's hosting. I think this could do wonders for a city like Moncton, where they have to compete so hard with football, which it's a football mad city, and football season is during the fall. So it could be beneficial. And I think some of the arguments would be, well, Rugby Canada plays in the fall, or we can't take part in maritime championships because that's in the fall. Well, you still could. If you win the New Brunswick title in in the summer and you're done in June, then you could have a couple exhibition matches in the fall to get geared up. Maybe if it works well, maybe Rugby Nova Scotia or PEI, maybe they're doing the same thing. Maybe they're going to change it as well. I don't know. But I think it's an interesting idea. It's definitely a gray area, but it's something maybe that could be looked at. Numbers are down in New Brunswick. Maybe this is a way to get numbers back up. Most everybody that I've spoken to, all the professional rugby players, all the Canadian nationals, have all said the same things. One, tours are huge. Tours are what bring people together. 100% agree. I love rugby tours. Pricey, and during COVID, hard to do. Borders are closed. But the other thing that most of them kind of always seem to roll back to is that it is the club atmosphere. And if you talk to anybody that's played rugby for a number of years at the club level, that's what draws them together. Why do you think the Trojans are fundraising to build a clubhouse? Why do you think the Loyalists are so strong? They've got a beautiful clubhouse in Fredericton. Blau used to have the best clubhouse in the province, probably one of the best clubhouses in Canada. For a number of years. But if those are the things, if developing a sense of club and a sense of belonging and a sense of community is something you need to do, why are we fighting against the grain? Why are we going against the grain? Why are we swimming and running uphill and into the wind, when maybe a simple change of season could do wonders for the game, could do wonders for the club game, and get more people interested, more people invested, more people attending? I mean, if I'm already coaching my high school team, and maybe we're in Fredericton to play FHS, and I know the Loyalists are playing right after us, I'm sticking around. You know, and I'm going to make sure that my bus is sticking around to watch that match as well. So all my kids get to stay and take part, even though we're not from Fredericton, but at least we get to stay and take part and watch a club game, because a lot of high school kids don't get to do that in the fall because, as I said, they're busy playing hockey, they're busy playing basketball, they're busy playing football or soccer. It's a very, very busy sporting season. And as much as I loved playing rugby in the fall, the cool air and everything like that, maybe it's time for a change. Anyway, it's something to think about. As I said, it is a gray area. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please reach out and let me know what your thoughts are on that topic. I'm sure some people will enjoy it. I'm sure others will say that's absolutely asinine, Gray. What the hell are you smoking? But I think it's something that you all maybe should need to talk about, especially at the NBRU level where you make those decisions. And coming up next, as I said, we have Conor Trainor. Great guy, very funny. Doesn't like wearing shirts. A little scared of his girlfriend, but we're not gonna. You'll figure that out as you watch. Just joking. Right now, he's currently enjoying some downtime in BC. He represented Canada at 3 Rugby World Cups, 2011, 2015, a little bit in 2019. He's been a staple on the Sevens tour. He's been a dominant player for Canada on the Sevens tour. He played pro in France, and he's going to talk about the mutual, I guess, walk away that he did with his club rugby in France, so that he can gear up for the Olympics this year. And as you all know, the Olympics have been put on hold for a full calendar year. So right now he's just kind of home and relaxing and, you know, letting his body heal the best he can, and you know, trying to stay mentally sharp and physically fit. Very skilled, very fast, and a pretty tough player. The highlight package showed some good skills, and we're excited to chat with him. He's pretty fun to talk to, and I hope you enjoy the conversation as much as I did. Enjoy, and we'll catch you after the break. Canadian Ruck likes to welcome Conor Trainor on today. Conor, it's a privilege to have you speaking with us. Thank you for joining the pod.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
All right, so we've got some questions here for you, just to kind of get into your personality, see what it's like to be a professional rugby player and a national rugby player. So let's start off early. So you're raised in British Columbia, which is a hotbed of rugby in Canada. Talk to us about growing up in BC and playing at the famed St. George's School, and then I think you played with Western University. What was that progress like for you?
Yeah, I started rugby pretty late in terms of an international scale. I started at 15, I think, so grade 10. I was always a smaller kid, so it wasn't really something I was interested in, getting chased around by guys who had hit puberty already. But I eventually came to it just through all my friends were playing it, and it's just such a good social sport, even at that young age. And then I was obviously super lucky going to St. George's, and they're so good at nurturing kind of any passion that people have. Mine happened to be sports and rugby, which is huge there. So some of my coaches have played for Canada, 7s, 15s, and it just really ignited my love for the game there. I can't say enough good things about St. George's. It was an awesome time. Take a lot of flack from my buddies for going to an all-boys school, but if I could do it again, I definitely would. And yeah, it was cool just growing up in a program where sports were such a huge part, and we had such good followings at games, and it really started off my rugby career. And then yeah, moving to Western was I just wanted to get away from BC, get away from home. I really only knew about Western and Queens coming from BC. I'd heard about the famed Saugeen residents at Western. Sounded like a pretty fun time, and then I'm sure the rugby team would play rugby as well. And it worked out. It was awesome there. I had a great 5 years there. And it was great to be able to be in both BC and Ontario to play rugby. I kind of got a little bit of both. That's great. So they're the two probably largest rugby producing cup provinces in the country. What do you think the rest of the country has to do to try and get caught up
nationally. New Brunswick here, we're a small province, just under 1 million people, but we've had 3 guys make the national team. What does BC and what does Ontario do maybe that's different than the other provinces? What do you think?
Well, I think the most obvious one is BC got super lucky with the Lower Mainland and Victoria not having snow 8 months of the year.
Fair enough.
So this weekend I spent at the beach where I heard about Ontario and everywhere in Canada it was snowing. So that's definitely the main difference. But yeah, Ontario has definitely come up, and I think they've just invested a pretty good amount in youth rugby, which I think is massive. I think we need just bigger player pools playing rugby. We can't expect to be good with just guys from other sports coming in at a advanced age at 16, 17, 18 and trying to compete internationally or even domestically. But there's so many good coaches throughout all these provinces that you talked about that are doing so much for the sport. So it's definitely going to grow. I think, as you said, it's just catching up. And I think it will continue to do so.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, there's lots of great coaches throughout the country. Nova Scotia's got Jack Hanratty's doing some great things with Rugby Nova Scotia. So
yeah,
hopefully the rest of us catch up. So it's the country's not just leaning on BC and Ontario players, and there's more of a pool to choose from. But yeah, that makes total sense. The earlier you can start the grassroots program, get those kids invested at 5 and 6, interested, and then hopefully they stick with it. Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
So you were playing professionally in France, and you and your club kind of agreed mutually to walk away from your contract so that you could focus on the Olympics coming up, that were supposed to happen this year with the Sevens team. Obviously, due to COVID, Olympics have been pushed to 2021. I guess walk us through that decision and how you came about. I really want another chance. I want to get on that Olympic roster. What was your mindset going into those conversations with your club there?
Well, I guess the mindset I had actually started in maybe 2010, 2011, when the conversation about rugby in the Olympics even happened. So I think it was kind of close in 2012 of going in. There were kind of rumors, maybe it'll go in, maybe not. So that ignited kind of my dream to play in the Olympics. And then kind of throughout my career, when I was at school or when I was in Victoria playing sevens, always had the opportunity to go professionally, but I just put such a high premium on the Olympics. And after we missed qualification in 2016, I went over to France, but I always kind of knew in the back of my mind that 2020 Olympics were happening, whatever had to be done. So yeah, I played 3 years over there, and then last summer it's the World Cup, which I was trying out for. My French team didn't see that much of me, which I'm sure was tough for them, but they knew when you sign an international player, that's kind of what happens.
For sure.
And then yeah, I went back to my team, and I was just kind of watching sevens guys train, they had a couple tournaments, and I just, once I kind of had the idea in my head, I couldn't get it out of my mind that I didn't want to miss out. I always thought I'd kind of go back after the season in May and try to play, but the demands of the game from sevens to 15s, especially the French 15s game, which is all about power and running straight into people, I didn't think I'd be able to transfer between the two. So yeah, I went and talked to the president, and he was super understanding. He understood it was my dream. He really, even with the language barrier, my French isn't awesome after 3.5 years, but he understood how much it meant to me. And his whole thing was just they couldn't buy me out of my contract and I couldn't play anywhere else. But I really didn't care. Just I wanted to go to the Olympics, and whatever it took, I would have done. And having them postponed was awful. But I'm healthy. My family's healthy. I'm feeling pretty lucky in the grand scheme of things.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's great. It's good that you guys could come to that agreement, and you're looking at the positives, which is awesome. Well, so what are you doing to stay like rugby ready and keep yourself motivated? We've got another year to go, and with COVID happening, what are you actually doing with your mental health and mental skills to keep yourself ready for rugby when it's ready to go?
I think I've taken a step back from rugby. Just it's tough to do to keep the skills up. There'd definitely be some little things I could do of kind of throwing a ball to myself and that. But I've pretty much just been trying to maintain my fitness, maintain muscle mass, and then knowing I'll have kind of a full year to get ready for the Olympics again. But I've been just focusing on other things now, with an eye for the future of what I want to do after rugby.
What's that?
So I've been studying for the GMAT, which is the entrance exam for business school, to go do my MBA.
Awesome.
Which has been pretty fun. It's just pretty much puzzles, which has been nice. And then so I have an engineering degree from Western, so I'm trying to figure out how to merge those, how I can use the skills from rugby, and kind of find what job would work for me, what I'd be happy doing, what I actually be good at. Now I've just kind of been focusing on that, calling people, calling HR, calling companies, and seeing what kind of traits and qualities they're looking for in people. So rugby's a little bit on the back burner, but I am every day getting out, keeping fit, going on hikes, running with some guys from the team. But yeah, it's a pretty dynamic situation. So just trying to keep healthy.
Those are some of the stories that you hear as listeners, and you just kind of love the grit and determination by rugby players that you're showing yourself. You go to Western, it's not like you're taking easy classes. You're taking engineering. It's obviously very tough. You would know that. And now not only do you have the Olympics coming up in about a year, but you're also looking into doing your MBA and trying to merge those. So you're looking at your career path as well as playing rugby at the highest level possible. So I think a lot of people that watch rugby, especially that are new to the game, don't understand how difficult rugby can be in circumstances like in Canada or America, where it's not really a highly paying sport or highly paying profession. So kudos to you for doing that. That's awesome.
Yeah, I think just on that point, I think we're actually kind of lucky being in North America that rugby isn't as big as other sports, just because players know they have to do other things after their career. So people are training and working, or training and going to school, and it's when you're investing that much to do something, it's you're that much more passionate about it, and then just that much more of a well-rounded person. None of really the guys I know are rugby players. They're a lot more than that. Whereas in France, you can just kind of be a rugby player and know that's all you really need to do. So obviously not great, not getting paid that much in Canada, but it creates some great people, and we're doing the best we can.
Yeah, opens doors for sure.
Yeah.
Walk us through the World Cup experiences.
Which one? All of them?
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All of them? Yeah.
Let's start from the first and work your way through.
Yeah, I was actually thinking about this the other day, which one was my favorite. It's probably a bit of a recency bias, but I loved Japan. I thought that was so cool. And then I would say my second favorite was New Zealand, just my first one. Not to say England wasn't awesome, but they all had their different aspects.
For sure.
The first one, though, I went into it with one Canada cap to my name. I'd only played my first game for Canada like 6 weeks before the World Cup. I was still at Western. I always had school. I just couldn't make it work. And yeah, I took some advice from Morgan Williams, actually. The year before the World Cup, I got called into the team. Took some advice from Morgan Williams that I wasn't quite ready for that standard of play. So I waited, which was actually a great decision, and it worked out with me making 2011 World Cup. And then again, I hadn't been to a World Cup, so I didn't really know. But that first win against Tonga was wild. I didn't really know what to expect, but I remember sitting on the bench and seeing the two teams battling out, and thinking how wild it was. And then to be able to get out there and help us win that game was awesome. And then from there we went to I can't remember the actual game, so I just remember playing Japan, who we tied, which 12, I think to this day it's one of only 3 ties in the World Cup.
And Canada's been on all 3 of those games.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I knew. So our other tie was 4 years before against Japan, and just seeing, I remember looking at Adam Kleberger's face after that game and just how broken he was to tie these guys again when we knew we were a better team. That was a pretty awful feeling. But and then there's the New Zealand game, which for me was great, being able to score twice over, I think it was within a minute of each other, split up by halftime.
And not many guys can say they scored against the All Blacks.
Yeah, and that's that was an awesome experience. And New Zealand as a whole was so cool. They love rugby, and just everywhere we went, they would do anything to make sure we had a great time. And at our training sessions, sometimes it'd be 400 or 500 people. It'd be a full school out. So it's definitely a religion down there. And yeah, England was also awesome. Having we had a great build up into that, and then trying to think how our games went there. It's I guess it's just a lot of Canadian rugby where we had a really good team, but couldn't quite get the results we were looking for. That Romania game being up, that was heartbreaking. And then Japan was a whole different experience. I didn't think it would be that great going into it. I wasn't sure if I'd had my junior World Cup in Japan, and I knew they were very polite and didn't really get too into the game, but it blew all my expectations. The food, the people, the experience, the culture. I couldn't have asked for a better time. And I was hoping that Italy game we would do better. Fortunately, it didn't go our way. And then being able to play the top 2 teams in the world next were pretty cool.
Yeah. The second half against South Africa was amazing. You guys struggled the first half, and the second half, it's like, you know what, we're taking over. And like watching that game, I was so impressed with the grit and determination you guys showed in the second half. It was amazing. Made me pretty proud to be Canadian.
Yeah, even being out there, I felt pretty proud. Just 2 I remember, Lucas Rumble and Matt Heaton, just throwing themselves into these bodies. And I know the South Africans look big on TV, but they're bigger in person. They're massive humans.
That's not that big, is he?
Yeah, exactly. To see the boys put that shift in was pretty impressive. And even when we were down by that much, just made me really proud to be a Canadian, and showed what it means to be a Canadian.
So one of the things I'd asked I'd asked Chauncey, I'd asked Cole, Keith, and a couple other guys, like, did you get a chance to take in any of the other festivities? Like, did you get to watch other games or matches? Or Chauncey said he didn't really remember much other than playing in New Zealand, and Cole said there wasn't a lot of time, but he did mention that you guys went out fishing or something, or some of you guys went some type of Japanese fishing. That sounded pretty neat. Do you remember actually getting a chance to watch other matches, or was it really just you guys were kind of doing the team things and, staying away from the limelight as much as possible?
Yeah, in Japan, we watched all of them. Actually, I think all 3 tournaments, we watched all of them on the TV. We didn't actually get to go, but yeah, we were watching every game, and especially Japan. Watching Japan was super cool. I've never cheered for another team that much. And then yeah, we had so many activities in Japan. Like we had to say no to tons of stuff just because they wanted us doing everything, but we had to really focus on our rugby. Our first place where we did our training camp in Japan was amazing. It's just a tiny little village, and they built kind of a whole sport complex for us.
Cool.
And the hotel we stayed at was, I think, one of the nicest hotels in Japan. A really traditional, with the traditional baths. And then yeah, just every day we'd have people from the city trying to take us out on the boat, fishing, yakitori making. There was like a rice farming expedition, going to different temples all around. Yeah, there's so much to do and so many people willing to help you see it. I think at pretty much all of them, it was trying to cut back on it, just saying like, okay, I gotta rest, gotta do some review, gotta do some study. But yeah, there's so many cool options in all 3 of the tournaments.
Yeah, Japan's a really cool culture for sure. So that would have been interesting. All those places. I mean, New Zealand, like you said, it's a religion. England, it's rugby's, was born there. In Japan, just over the last 10 years, they've really become a rugby nation, right? So
it's exploded. Yeah, it's crazy.
I do feel bad. I love watching the Sanzar, and the fact that this is the last year for the Seawolves in there, but I don't know, maybe it opens the door for later on or something. I'm not really sure. So
yeah, that's a tough league with all the distance traveled, but yeah. I'm sure something else will come of it.
I am excited though that New Zealand's going to start playing their games here soon, which will be interesting for sure. It'd be nice to watch a little rugby live. I'm still not sure logistically how, what their phase 2 looks like compared to our phase 2, but I guess we'll see.
Yeah, a lot of unknowns in this time right now.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to switch gears a little bit, Conor. We're going to do the quick fire. So I've got about 10 to 12 just little phrases, and I want you to do your best, just, maybe 1 or 2 words. A couple of the questions you might go on a little bit. That's fine. DT went on a little bit for a couple of them, but, it's up to you. So question 1, best team you ever faced?
New Zealand.
At the 2019 World Cup, or the 2015 World Cup, or the 2011? Canada and New Zealand seem to be in the pool all the time together.
Yeah, I'd go 2011. They won it. They had all the legends. So 2011.
All right, best player you ever faced?
Wesley Fofana, the center from France.
Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Toughest player you ever faced? Guy that he's like, I don't know if I can tackle this guy. One of those big, strong guys.
All of them. I can't. I'm not even sure I can think of one. Someone on Fiji, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe Botia or. Yeah.
They have some big dudes there.
They have forwards out in the center, so it's probably one of those guys.
That's a fair assessment. All right, 15s or 7s?
7s. It's easy.
Best match you were ever a part of?
Might be recent. Vancouver Sevens. Again, maybe recency bias, but Vancouver Sevens. I could say any game from that, but I'll say South Africa when we came third, beat them to come third. That was pretty cool.
That was really exciting to watch too.
Yeah.
All right. Chips or cookies?
Chips. Miss Vicky's salt and vinegar.
Miss Vicky's salt. Yeah, they are good. French fries or onion rings?
French fries.
All right. Favorite beer?
Bud Light, because of the memories, because of what it reminds me of.
High school?
I played a season at London St. George's. It reminds me of the center I used to play with, Mike Medway.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right, guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure. Rom-coms, romantic comedies.
Good for you for admitting that. What's your favorite?
Friends with Benefits.
Yeah,
What
that's
Happens
good.
in Vegas. No Strings
Yeah.
Attached. They're all pretty much the exact same movie, but
Yeah.
I'd watch them again and again.
So you like the Hallmark Channel with their movies, eh?
Yeah, exactly. I'm easy to please.
Best place for a post-match beer.
I might go with Queen's University.
Okay.
They do it well. It's always both teams together after the bar. We're doing a boat race.
Nice.
Everyone's drinking and racing, and yeah, that Queen's University.
Who doesn't love a good boat race, right?
Yeah, exactly.
What series are you binge watching right now?
I'm watching Homeland with my girlfriend, and then also watching The Last Dance, which is wild.
What's The Last Dance?
Michael Jordan.
Mike Jordan? Yeah, that looks.
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
Super cool one.
Yeah. Favorite movie?
Yeah, like I think it'd be a rom-com. Be Friends with Benefits.
One of those ones you mentioned?
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Who would play you in the Netflix movie of your life?
I would hope for Matthew McConaughey. I don't think I'm that cool, but I wish I was.
You know, he's in his 50s, right?
Yeah. He's
all right.
It's a good-looking guy.
Who would play the leading lady?
I can't even imagine this. This can only get me in trouble with my girlfriend, so I'm gonna go no comment.
Is she gonna listen?
Yeah, I'm sure she will listen and judge.
Fair enough. All right, so last quickfire one. Who had the biggest impact on you as a player?
Biggest impact on me as a player. That's tough. There's been so many that have helped me through. The one I'm thinking of right now is Bill Chamberlain. He was one of my high school coaches. Has nothing to do with rugby, just how passionate he was about everything in life, and that really ignited my passion for sports and also for doing your best no matter what. Always working hard.
Awesome. That's awesome. Shout out to Bill there. That's great. All right, so we only have a couple of questions left, and then this will be awesome. But so, for you, what are your thoughts on what makes a great team player?
Great team player. Team player. I guess like I just said, always going 100%, doing everything they can to win. Honesty. Able to take criticism, able to give it out. Yeah, I think those are definitely the big two. I think just honesty. I guess you could sum it up. Always giving 100%, being honest with yourself that you are, and then if you make a mistake, taking kind of ownership of that, extreme ownership, and if someone else is doing something that they shouldn't be, then being honest with them and letting them know.
Yeah, that's fair. That's really good. You need those players that are honest so they can look themselves in the eye or look their teammates in the eye and let them know that they are doing everything they can.
Yeah.
Who are some of those great players that exhibited those traits, the honesty traits and the grit and stuff that you've played with? I know there's quite a few, but who stands out?
Yes, one who definitely stands out is, I guess you've had him on your show, is DTH. I don't know if it's an argument, but he's definitely by far one of the best ever Canadian players. Definitely the best I've ever played with. And when I was younger, he always wanted to win. Always wanted to win. Wanted the best from everyone. And the way he went about it wasn't great. But he actually changed, and just the player and the man he's turned into and the leader on the rugby field the past 6-7 years, as he's grown older. That is the type of teammate that I think everyone would want. He's still, as you can see when he plays, he's always given it 100%. But if someone makes a mistake, he's there helping them up, telling them get on with it, on to the next. And yeah, playing with someone like D it just makes everyone around him a better player. I guess I would say he started off like Michael Jordan from The Last Dance, which isn't a bad thing. It's just one way of doing it, and then kind of morphed into just this leader who makes the whole team better. And yeah, there are many people, but yeah, DTH definitely one that stands out.
Absolutely. Seems to think the game on a different level at times. And when I saw his announcement that he was retiring from Glasgow, it was a little sad for sure, because when you look at him, it looks like he's got a few more good years, prime years left. But, you know.
Oh, yeah, he could play. He could play for many years.
Yeah, it's 3 little kids, though, makes it tricky, I think, too, though.
Yeah, 3 kids and injuries is a huge one.
Yeah, fair. That's fair. So, what are you and your girlfriend doing during quarantine to keep yourselves active and fresh?
As I've said before, we're lucky to be in Victoria, and the weather is awesome here. So we've been able to hike, been able to walk around the beaches, walk around a bit, and there's tons of space here, so it's pretty easy to keep distanced. For workouts, I don't have any weights, so I've been using her as a weight. I just kind of piggyback her and do squats or do some split squats or lunges, push ups with her on my back.
That's awesome.
I've gotten into a lot of the online classes, so I've been doing some bar classes. Of course, I've been doing some lean squad. Shout out to Phil McKenzie. Yeah, I've been trying tons of different things just to keep my mind fresh and not let make sure it's not the same thing every day. Yeah,
that's fair. So lastly, I think that you might not have anything, but is there anything you feel like you can throw old teammate under the bus, or any little story that pops to you, whether, something simple that happened during a match, or maybe while you were on tour somewhere in France?
Yeah, I can't think of any I'll be sharing on the podcast. I guess one that just popped into my head is Phil Mack, just always forgetting his game jersey. So in the Glasgow Sevens, we made it to the final against New Zealand, and we went out there in our jackets because it was raining, sang the national anthems, took our jackets off, and then the kickoff was about to happen. Phil took his jacket off, realized he was just shirtless underneath. So he had to run back into the changing room. And then you would expect that would kind of be the last. He would learn his lesson from that. But then Pan Am Games 2015, when we won gold there, same thing. So yeah, Phil Mack, wear your jersey.
I'll have to see if I can get Phil on and get him to fill me on those stories, and maybe he'll have something to rebuttal you with there. So
I'm sure he can really fill you in on his mental space and the panic going through him. So I saw his eyes both those times, and he was scared.
How do you get out there, take your jacket off, and then realize that you don't have your shirt on?
Yeah, I guess there's just so many emotions going through your head. You're worrying about the game, and yeah, the jersey. It's usually just automatic, but I can see you just skipping a step.
Did you guys laugh, or were you ticked off?
We laughed after, but at the time it was full panic. Our manager Brian Hunter was running around. We were out there with six players, being like, "What do we do?" It was unheard of. So.
Oh, that's awesome. That's a good one. Well, Conor, thank you very much. I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us today, and I hope you're back outside and getting active with rugby again soon, and that you and your girlfriend are staying healthy during the quarantine. So appreciate you coming on the pod today.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me. It was a great time, and definitely stay healthy, and hopefully we all get through this together.
Absolutely. Thank you. And thanks very much, Conor Trainor, for taking the time to chat with us. It was pretty fun. Good chat with a good bloke, good rugby player, all around great guy. So thanks very much for listening. Thanks very much for listening. That was a great conversation with Conor Trainor. Great guy, pretty funny, great spirit, great attitude towards life, great rugby player as well. So very much I'd like to thank Conor for taking the time to spend some time with us here at the Canadian Ruck. It was awesome. Hopefully we can get him on again. It was great chatting with you. Coming up next pods, we'll be able to have John Moonlight. And we'll have John, who just retired basically from rugby. He's a firefighter up in Ontario. Then we're going to have Kingsley Jones on. Kingsley, head coach of Team Canada. That's exciting as well. And then we're still trying to line up that time to work with Jamie and Phil McKenzie to have the brothers on, the brothers McKenzie. COVID's, at the moment in my part of the woods, it's on the improving, and that's exciting. Our restrictions are kind of starting to loosen up a little bit, which is nice. So a big thank you to all the essential workers out there that keep plugging away every day, all the sports staff, volunteers, and everybody else that's been doing everything they can to get us through this pandemic. As always, say thanks to Ben Sound Music for supplying us with their tunes. And anytime, feel free to drop me an email or a tweet or throw something up on Instagram or Gmail or Facebook for topics, for guests. Love to hear from you. If you have any thoughts on the gray area this week, please let me know as well. And until next time, it's been a few nice days in a row here in New Brunswick, and it's supposed to be a beautiful week. But just as a reminder, stay safe, stay healthy, stay sane, and most importantly, keep on rucking.